On this title slide, you can see a detailed layout of the Illinois Executive Branch. And while our focus for this lesson is the Illinois Executive Branch, we are going to mainly focus on the top row of this flow chart. We will briefly mention the branch that you see descending from the box titled Governor, but our attention will be directed towards the 6 elected officials: the Secretary of State, the Treasurer, the Governor, the Lieutenant Governor, the Comptroller, and the Attorney General that you see across the top row of this diagram. The primary job of the Illinois Executive Branch is essentially the same as the role of the federal executive branch. However, instead of enforcing the laws of the United States, the Illinois Executive Branch focuses on enforcing the laws of Illinois. And while the federal executive branch is headed by a president, the Illinois executive branch is overseen by the Illinois governor. There are also 5 other elected officials whose titles you saw on the previous title slide, and we will touch on each of their offices' responsibilities. The good news is that there is only one set of qualifications for all of the aforementioned elected officials within the Illinois executive branch. Firstly, any candidate for those offices must be a U.S. citizen. So to serve in government, even state government, you must be a member of the nation. You must have citizenship, either through birth or through naturalization. Secondly, you must be 25 years of age. The third and final qualification is a residency requirement, and it states that in order to run for any of those 6 elected offices that make up the Illinois executive branch, the candidate must be a resident of the state of Illinois for 3 years prior to the election. If you meet those 3 simple requirements and can trick enough people into voting for you, your reward is a 4-year term in office. That goes for the Secretary of State, the Treasurer, the Governor, the Lieutenant Governor, the Comptroller, and the Attorney General. We begin our investigation of those 6 elected officials by looking first at Illinois' most powerful elected official, the Illinois Governor. He or she is also known as the Chief Executive of Illinois, indicating their preeminent status within the Illinois executive branch. Just like the POTUS has to work with the Congress in an attempt to create solutions to the nation's problems, the Illinois governor must work with our lawmakers, the Illinois General Assembly. They can do this by proposing the Illinois state budget to the Illinois General Assembly each year. Additionally, much like the President of the United States delivers the annual State of the Union address, the Illinois governor is tasked with delivering a speech to the Illinois General Assembly known as the Condition of the State Speech. And lastly, while working with the Illinois General Assembly, the governor does have the power to veto laws passed by the General Assembly. But just like the president's veto can be overridden by the Congress, the Illinois General Assembly can override the governor's veto. However, they only need a 3/5 or 60% vote. The Illinois governor can also grant pardons, reprieves, and commutations. Former Illinois Governor George Ryan made world headlines after he commuted every single one of Illinois' death row inmates' sentences from death to life in prison. This happened as a result of some high-profile legal cases in which people who had been found guilty and sentenced to die were actually found to be innocent and released from prison. Rather than commit the ultimate oopsie and execute an innocent person, former Governor Ryan commuted the sentences, which falls within the governor's powers. He commuted the sentences of all death row inmates to life in prison. As an aside, Illinois no longer uses the death penalty as a punishment. The Illinois governor also commands the Illinois State Militia, or National Guard. The governor also gets to appoint various administrators and department heads within the Illinois executive branch. However, in another example of the checks and balances, the Illinois Senate gets the chance to weigh in and either approve or reject the governor's appointments. There is an order of succession should the Illinois governor die, resign, or be removed from office. The first in line, should the office of governor become vacant, is the lieutenant governor. As they are similar to the vice president of the United States, this should not come as too big of a surprise. Next up is the elected Illinois Attorney General. This has to be the elected Attorney General and not someone who has been subbed in as a replacement Attorney General. Then we have the elected Illinois Secretary of State. After that, there is no succession plan, and the Illinois General Assembly would have to pass a law to settle a succession question if the offices of governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and the Illinois Secretary of State all became vacant at the same time. This is, of course, highly improbable, but have no fears, as the Illinois General Assembly will be on the case. Our current Illinois governor is billionaire businessman J.B. Pritzker. Next, we have the Illinois lieutenant governor, who is kind of like the United States vice president. Just like the vice president carries out duties assigned by the president of the United States, the lieutenant governor fulfills a similar service for the governor. Just to show you how vital the job of lieutenant governor is relative to the day-to-day operations of Illinois, if the Illinois lieutenant governor should die, resign, or be impeached, their office is not filled until the next election. So if their office becomes vacant, Illinois collectively shrugs its shoulders and goes about its business. The current Illinois lieutenant governor is Juliana Stratton. The hits keep coming with the Illinois Secretary of State. They are the keeper of the Great Seal of Illinois, which is not this type of cute and cuddly seal, but rather the circular symbol for the state of Illinois. So this unofficial title of Keeper of the Seal is largely symbolic, as the Illinois Secretary of State does not carry around a giant life-size seal like the one you see on the screen before you. They are also the state's librarian and record holder. As the state's record holder, the Illinois Secretary of State is in charge of issuing license plates, vehicle titles, driver's licenses. They also maintain your driving record, keeping track of driving infractions, which could lead to the suspension of driving privileges. The current Illinois Secretary of State is Jesse White. Since we are in a junior high school and I have 2 decades of experience doing this, I know how this incongruity between name and face is received by junior high students. His name is White, and he's African American or Black. Well, keep in mind that this is not unique, as the world has also gifted us with Jack Black, who is white, Barry White, cool first name, who is Black, Frank Black, who is white, and Devon White, who is Black. And don't get me started on Tom Green or Draymond Green. Moving right along, we have the Illinois Attorney General. They are in charge of coordinating crime-fighting activities in Illinois, which sounds like a job description for the Batman. However, the Illinois Attorney General is basically Illinois government's top lawyer. As such, they can issue instructions to police who investigate crimes and the district attorneys who prosecute accused criminals to prioritize certain crimes, like, for example, crimes involving illegal guns. The current Illinois Attorney General is Kwame Raoul. Next to last, we have the wonderfully titled position of comptroller. Think of them as the individual who controls Illinois' checkbook, so to speak. They order the payment of Illinois' bills. So, like any services provided by the state, they must be paid for with tax dollars, whether that's road repair crews who build and maintain the roadways in Illinois or the funding of Illinois schools. The comptroller is the one who makes sure these businesses and people receive payment for services rendered. You can also view them as the accountant for Illinois. Your current comptroller is Susan Mendoza. And at long last, please let me introduce you to our treasurer. People understandably confuse the jobs of treasurer and comptroller because they are both involved with Illinois government's financial matters. But the comptroller is the checkbook slash accountant. Think of the treasurer as the chief investor or banker for Illinois and its tax dollars. They are in charge of protecting and investing with the purposes of growing Illinois' tax dollars. The current Illinois treasurer is, and I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Michael Freeriches. Finally, while most of our focus was spent on the 6 most important elected officials within the Illinois executive departments, understand there are literally thousands of other people who work under those individuals within the various executive departments that make up the rest of the Illinois executive branch. There are a grand total of 26 Illinois executive departments. Each one is headed by a director, usually appointed by and answerable to the Illinois governor. There are actually somewhere in the neighborhood of 70,000 worker bees within this hive. So, for example, we have the Illinois Department of Corrections, which oversees those deemed naughty enough to have been sent to their rooms for lengthy durations based on the degree of their naughtiness. That department consists of 29 prisons and 9 juvenile facilities. Yes, this is juvie. Within this department, there are over 17,000 employees. All the other 25 executive departments are set up somewhat similarly.